Then, yeah.
And you start. Yeah, I don't know. You want me to start? Or you want to start?
Doesn't matter. I can start. It's okay.
Yeah, you start, and then I'll do welcome from the Amsterdam.
This
yeah.
is live, actually. People from home can hear us.
Hello, hello, people from home. Wave to the camera.
But you have to be a bit there.
Hey, welcome everybody. Hopefully you're gonna have a nice night with a really hot topic AI. For the people who don't know about Pinch, we are a mobile app agency here based in Amsterdam and in Malaga. And we make mobile apps for different clients like NRC, Q-Music, Telegraph, all kinds of different companies. We're around 40 people and we do apps in iOS, Android and Flutter. And for us, AI is pretty nice to know what's happening, how can we use it within our day-to-day work, maybe in the future, what will happen there. So we're exploring the area here, and tonight we're just having fun. And hopefully, if you have any ideas, just let us know what we can do with it. That's it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roland. Yeah, so I'm Tom Van Armen. I'm I think representing Amsterdam tonight. There's a whole community of Amsterdammers tonight, and we've partnered up with Pinch because we want to. It's a kind of it's kind of. Can you hear me? Yeah, it's yeah, it's okay. No, it's just Amsterdam is been around for over 10 years now, and we're just makers helping makers helping makers, and it was a wonderful partnership to team up with Pinch this year to figure out what kind of lecture series we could kind of create to get other people involved. Every week we have multiple events. So on Wednesday nights we have the meeting and greeting, and that's just meeting and drinking on Wednesday nights. And then Saturdays there's the coffee coding, which is like if you're stuck on a line of code, you can go to the local cafe on the Kinkerstraat and learn. And Wesley is organizing family fun kind of weekends for everybody to do something that's not has to do with any programming. So there's every week at least two or three events per week, and we're just trying to kind of just meet each other and kind of explore this kind of space of programming and design and business, and that's the whole kind of app package. So I'm very excited to welcome Theo. Theo we've been working on this concept for some months, but finally we actually have the moment, and we're all glad to have you guys here. So I want to welcome Theo. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Theo Pallios. I'm from Greece, obviously. And yeah, we had this idea for this talk since last October. So a lot of things have changed. When the idea came up, we wanted to do something more about image development with AI, but yeah, I decided to do a more introductory to the whole idea of AI, to the whole technology. So before I start, I would like to tell you a quote about a person who lived 2,500 years ago. And this one is Socrates, where he said, "Enida otiu δεν είδα." The only thing I know is that I know nothing. It sounds like a paradox, but it's very, very, it applies to machine learning, it applies to AI. We have a lot of new technologies and a lot of new things that come up every day. And we have to keep an open mind and an open heart to everything and filter. So AI, as we know it, is an extraordinarily powerful tool. It has defeated world champions in chess a lot of years ago. It has diagnosed disease with remarkable accuracy. And it even composed music. As you can see, this article went viral about 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Today, I hope I can shed some light to the whole thing. The past year, we have seen a lot of changes, a lot of new technologies, and the world is on fire. in general, not only on AI. We made some huge leaps, and we've managed to put AI into every group of friends conversations. At least you had many. Yeah, it's a topic that will disrupt a lot of people. About a month ago, I was in Greece. I was in my parents' house. I went to visit them, and I was sitting and watching TV, and this guy came up. This is a virtual presenter made with AI. It's made by the Greek National Television. And as you can see, the model is pretty good. The lip sync is absolutely horrible. It has zero emotions, but it's a start. It's something new. Is it gonna take the jobs of news anchors? I doubt it. But of course, this is a general sentiment, and a lot of people are afraid of things they cannot understand. So let's start with the basics. What is a model? We have heard a lot of times an AI model, a machine learning model, etc. What is a model? A model is a mathematical representation of a real-world process. It's like a recipe. You get the ingredients, you follow the steps, and you get a dish. In the AI sphere, in the case of a model, you input data, the algorithm processes it, and you get a prediction or a classification. There are different types of models in AI, in machine learning. Each has its own strengths and weaknesses. Some of the most common ones include decision trees, support vector machines, and neural networks. These actually are the most popular models according to Kaggle, one of the biggest websites dedicated to AI. And as you can see, the first neural networks are here, for example, fourth, and they're most popular to talk about. A very simple example of what a model is an image classification model for recognizing a cat. How would we train one such model? First of all, we gather a lot of cats and a lot of images containing cats. And then we feed the model those images and we let it train. The model then will start to recognize some patterns. Maybe an ovalish gray shape in the beginning. Maybe two ears poking up. Maybe two eyes, the fur, the eye color, a little nose, etc. It will gradually get the idea of what a cat looks like. And I can show you this. This is how it recognizes a car. It has some low-level features, middle, and high-level features that checks every time. Now, if you have a different image containing a cat, one that you took with your phone and wasn't used in the training dataset, the algorithm checks for all the patterns it recognizes, and it has, and it will return you a response. And that response will be, this is 97.03% a cat. So you can say, this is a cat. This is how AI works. This is neither A or I. Maybe it's a bit A, but we will come back to that. There are different ways models learn. Decision trees, for example, learn by making some decisions, yes or no decisions. I think this is about taking branch or something like that, but this is how it works. Support vector machines try to draw a line between different types of data. And neural networks work a bit like a human brain. They strengthen the connections between nodes, and just like a brain does. But no model is perfect. Each one is good in some aspects, some things, and not so good in others. For instance, some models assume there is a simple relationship between input and output, which isn't always true. Others can get too focused on the details and don't do so well in new data. And finally, we get to after we train the model, we get to test it. We usually do this by saving some data and not using it for training. We then use this data to see how well the model has learned. We have some criteria to rank the models we trained. And that's usually accuracy, how often the model is right, precision, how often the model is not wrong when it says it's right, recall, how often it finds the right answers, and F1 score, a balance between precision and recall. And we understand how good our model is by the end. These scores can tell us if we need to do more work or just leave it as that. But this doesn't really tell us the whole story. In the last few years, something changed. Something that took the models. We had this for many, many years. What changed in the last few years that made AI so popular? It used to be completely lame back in the day. Two things: computational power and transformers. Transformers are a type of model that is used in deep learning, and more specifically in natural language processing. And they were introduced back in 2017 by a team at Google with this paper. And they've been a game changer. Transformers work by paying attention to specific parts of the input data. For example, let's say you read a book and you only pay attention to the things that are important for the plot or that move forward the story, and not paying too much attention to the other things. Like in The Lord of the Rings, where you skipped all the Frodo part. I always do that. And this part, an evolution. Basically, after the Transformers were introduced, about a year later, OpenAI introduced the GPT-2 in 2019, and yeah, GPT-2 was a leap forward. It was trained, and it was not fine-tuned as GPT-1, and it worked like that. It basically took the input data that you gave it and tried to guess the next words. You have seen that in Gmail, for example, or in Hotmail, Outlook. That basically when you try to type an email, they autofill. And it got really, really good. And then, about a year later, they introduced GPT-3. GPT-3 was a behemoth compared to GPT-2, as you can see. It had 175 billion parameters. And yeah, it was huge, and it worked way differently. GPT-3 could took all the capabilities of GPT-2 and amplified them, demonstrating a great ability to generate creative and contextually rich text. It basically had some understanding of logic behind a sentence and a paragraph, and it had a huge, compared to GPT-2, memory. Now we have GPT-4, and as you can see, it's way bigger. I don't think it will fit. GPT-2 would fit here. And we have, of course, the connection to the internet, plugins, etc., etc. But these models are not everything. These are large language models by OpenAI, but we had other competitors. We had Facebook with Llama. They developed Llama and accidentally leaked it. So open source developers have a great tool to work with. Google is developing BART, etc., etc. And Stanford University did something amazing. They took the smallest model of Llama and trained it using ChatGPT 3.5. So they basically did that. They wrote 150 prompts and asked Llama to make them thousands. And then they asked ChatGPT to give responses to those prompts, and they taught the model, and they created Alpaca, which was ingenious and extremely cheap. Yes, they spent $600 to create Alpaca, while OpenAI spent $5 million to create GPT-3, and it was better, a lot better. If this graph says that if we take ChatGPT as the basis, Alpaca would be 76% as good. But these two models have 1 week difference. This is Vicuña. I don't know if we have a Spanish person here. I think I pronounced correctly. Which was developed in the same way as Alpaca, and it's even better. And it costed $300. But before we try to understand, to make AIs, smart AIs, let's try to understand our own brain. Previously, we've used AI to decode brain activity. But with Stable Diffusion, we've taken a giant leap forward. I bet you will hear more about Stable Diffusion by the next two presenters, but I will try to make a small introduction. Stable Diffusion is a generative AI, which is open source, and can create incredibly detailed images from simple text prompts and videos. In this study, Stable Diffusion was trained on countless brain scans. Researchers presented thousands of images to human participants, and while they were viewing these images, their brain activity was recorded using advanced brain imaging techniques. The model then learned the correlation between the brain activity patterns and the images that were shown to the participants. Here's an example. The top image is what the human participants saw, and the bottom image is what the AI reconstructed only by their brain scan. As you can see, the difference is very minor in most of them. But how does it work? It's a combination of cutting-edge neuroscience and latent diffusion models. When we look at a photo, different parts of our brain process different things in a photo. The model then matches these brain patterns with what it saw in training. And Stable Diffusion takes all that data and produces an image like this one. Well, it doesn't always get it completely right. For example, this had a problem. In this example, it had a problem recognizing the clock tower, but it's very close. And it's probably because it didn't have in its data set the brain scan for a clock tower. This breakthrough has numerous of potential applications, as you can understand. We can basically decode dreams. We can see how animals perceive the world. Only based on brain activity. They don't have to learn English. So, yeah. But as cool as this is, we are using AI in many different ways. I'm going to tell you how we are using AI lately with My Odyssey. My Odyssey is an application that I started, and it's basically a travel companion. It's an application where you can book flights and hotels, and also it gives you recommendations for different things to do in a city. We've seen those applications before. But the interesting part is how we've used AI with that. We use neural networks to basically recommend the best things to do and the best things to book. And we have connected, actually, as you can see, these are designed by Midjourney. by the way. And yeah, we have also implemented some other stuff, like tracking your own journeys. These designs are amazing, by the way. Thank you. And we have integrated ChatGPT with our application, and we asked ChatGPT, we fine-tuned ChatGPT to basically give you recommendations on specific things based on your location, based on your things that you like, and yeah, it's basically, it works like a personal concierge that is available everywhere, anytime. Because I don't know if you had that feeling going to a new city and seeing, not having things to do specifically for you, because I have specific music taste that not many people have, especially not on Instagram. I struggle to find nice things to see, for example, or a live show or something like that. So you can go to My Odyssey and just type, I want to do that, and you can say, okay, maybe on the next road there's a bar that plays metal music. And this is My Odyssey. If you want to learn more, scan this QR code. I won't judge you if you don't. Maybe I do. But now I would like to change the topic on something that all of you, at least once, have thought about or discussed about. And that is the pursuit of AGI. And whatever it entails. You've probably seen the news splashed all over, maybe on YouTube, maybe in the news. AGI is coming. The dawn of super intelligent AI. Is the AI the future of humanity? Actually, these are written by ChatGPT. I didn't find the... But this is scary. They're very provocative headlines. They're very scary, and they try to pass a very different message to what the reality is. So, yeah, let's define our terms. First of all, what is AGI? AGI, or artificial general intelligence, is a type of AI that is as capable as a human at any intellectual task. The idea behind AGI is tantalizing, is amazing. And the thought that we could create an entity that can do as much as us is great. But there's a crucial point we often miss. This is still very much in the realm of science fiction. As of now, we have made significant strides in developing AI, but these have been narrow AI. As you can see, ChatGPT is great at writing things, but is it a human? No. They are programmed to do one task extremely well, but only one task. And they don't have the capacity to understand or learn or evolve like a human. Why do I say AGI is only good for headlines? The pursuit of that is currently beyond our reach. It's a concept so far removed from our present capabilities that to present it as an imminent threat is misleading. AI will have to really understand what is a cat in our previous example, not just assign 3 letters in some collection of pixels. This is completely different. And why do I insist that AI is not ready to be a human? This comes down to the fundamental understanding of what it means to be a human. Sorry for that. I know that it will stick in your head, but being a human, it's about a lot of things. It's about empathy, morality, creativity, intuition, and understanding things that are very, very, very nuanced. While AI is trying to prove capable of impressive feats in specific niches, it still lacks the capacity to fully comprehend and engage with the world as we do. The problem I have, sorry, my throat. The problem I have with these headlines is that they are misleading and they can hide other intentions. Recently, the CEO of OpenAI went to the American Congress and asked for a new agency to be formed, an agency that would license AI companies. And this is a man who basically scraped the whole internet to create their own models and raised 11.3 billion in the process. So yeah, be careful who you trust. And he's not alone. Elon Musk actually signed a petition to stop the development of AI, while I think 2 weeks later, he said that he will start his own company, AI company. So the real intentions that what people say, behind what people say, is just are different, are not always so upfront. I don't think you should be afraid of an autocomplete. And yeah, I want to close this talk with another quote from Socrates. And this is the one. Εμέμ βροντέ τους πέδας, εδέ απειλέ τους άφρονας καταπλήττωση. The thunder scares the kids, and the threats scare the fools. Thank you. It's a bit late. So, yeah, equip yourself with knowledge and get beyond the headlines and engage with reality, because this is where the truly fascinating story of AI is, and this is where we can create amazing things. Thank you very much. If you would like to learn more, follow me on TikTok. I don't do dances, I promise.
Are there any questions, maybe? Or, about the AI that can analyze dreams.
Yes.
I was slightly taken aback by that. Who's doing this? Where is it happening?
This is a study from 2 Japanese people. I don't remember their names. I think I wrote it, but I don't remember. Yeah, they started with stable diffusion. They analyzed the brain scans, like I told, and basically they generated some images from what the mind was reading at that moment.
But how far along are they in actually taking somebody sleeping who's having a dream and turning it into imagery?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but the paper is amazing. If you had the time, read it. It's great. It's not very technical. It's amazing.
I'll ask you later.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Since you mentioned going behind the headline and thinking about what these new implications mean for all of us, I was wondering, like, to also ask you about your opinion on the AI Act in the EU, because in comparison to like what's happening in the US, that still things are being developed. We're gonna have a regulation probably by this year or the next year, and the scope of it is like quite scary for people who want to use this technology, although it addresses many ethical questions that we might have. So I was wondering, like, what do you think about like things like that are happening in our living environment?
Yes, we're going to have a regulation. This is unavoidable, I think. But the problem is that the intentions behind it, because usually America is more strict to the regulations in order to help larger businesses who can lobby the government easier. So in EU, we don't have that much of a problem, but we will have a problem. And the problem usually is that open source AIs are the only competitor right now. They create tools every day, and the tools are amazing. I've seen a person basically have made an augmented reality app that generated the whole environment live using stable diffusion. And whatever you looked, it was different. And that's just only one tool. But we will have regulation. It's unavoidable. The thing is, we have to do something. We have to at least vocalize our problem with too strict of regulation, because they usually use language that is very legal, yeah, litigating. I cannot find the word.
Legalese? Huh? Legalese?
Probably, yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah, they stick to details that, yeah, restrict a lot of things. Basically, I don't know if I answered your question.
No.
Okay, thank you. Have
With so many different headlines, of course, popping up with so many different sources, where do you always recommend looking for when you talk about reading about the process of AI?
What do you mean?
Like, there's a lot of different perspectives and there's a lot of different articles out there,
Mm-hmm.
and so a lot of sources, and of course, not all of them are right or good. Where do you recommend looking for sources, or what sources do you recommend?
In my experience,
Just an authority,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I usually do something. When I read about something, I try to read about who wrote it.
Okay.
So, if the person who wrote it works for a company that has shares to another company that's benefit for that, usually it's not a good source. So, it's up to you.
Yeah, okay.
But
Do you know any good sources that you would recommend?
not really. I usually check everything, and yeah, if the article is interesting enough, I search the source to see if it's actually true or not.
There's no one authority.
There's not one-
No, I don't think so, because even if we trust one authority, it will be corrupted over time. Tom?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. That was an awesome presentation. And we saw the kind of the benefits and the threats, of course, with this new power, that this godlike, these new godlike technologies and power that we've just created, like in the last 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. What is your personal kind of take? Are you optimistic or skeptical about the future?
That's a great question, actually.
Personally, just
Personally. Personally, I'm very, very optimistic, but like I said, I'm very pessimistic about the breaks they will implement, and I don't want to see ourselves restricting ourselves. I don't want to see something like what happened with www, for example, when we could create everything, but then we did, and then the restrictions came, and then the silence, and then we had to put a mute to ourselves, to put so many filters that we succeeded in some parts, but we failed miserably on other parts.
Do you agree right now with the AI engineers that we need like a hit the pause button and just have a reflection?
This will not happen.
For 6 months.
It will not. It will not happen.
The race has already started, right? I mean,
It will not. But yeah, the thing is, putting pause on something as a species is not possible. And second, the people who want to put pause on something, they want to put pause on the people who are way ahead, like OpenAI, for example.
Right.
So the rest of us, we can create things on our own, but I don't think that Elon Musk can stop me from creating some stuff, but my government could. So that's the fine part about it. Any other questions? Yes.
So you were talking about AGI, and I didn't fully understand. What is it like the next thing in the development of AI?
No,
or-
it's way far ahead. AGI is basically the idea that an AI can become sentient. So yeah, that was what many say, that what many use to scare people, which is a bad thing because it's not a reality. It's completely science fiction right now.
Does it seem logical for you that in some point at time it could be reality? Or?
No, we can create something that can mimic us, but I never think we can create something that will surpass us. because we don't understand our own brain yet.
But doesn't that mean how will we know when it's become sentient? Like what possible test can we ever give it?
That's a great question. Very philosophical. I don't have an
Well,
answer.
it's like Turing says, you know, you started philosophically, so.
Yeah, please.
Well, I have 2 points. One of the point you saying, say when is AI at the level of when will it have the equal of human intelligence? We are comparing to human intelligence, but it might be something different altogether, which is intelligent as well, but it doesn't look like the thing we're recognizing. Because you specifically said, well, it's not human yet, but maybe it doesn't need to be at all.
Well, intelligence, yeah, like I said in my talk, intelligence is one thing, but how would you say a robot is something more than just a robot? If you had a robot in front of you, how would you say that this thing could be alive?
Probably in the calculations is made.
No, the calculations, my computer can do that. Maybe if it starts caring, we think of artificial intelligence and robots like we think about our mobile phones. Our mobile phones can do calculations, it's okay. But when we believe that this is more than just a machine, is when we put our own feelings, our own things that we understand are inherently human, like empathy, like similar stuff. If a robot is capable of that, then yeah, it will identify as more than a robot. But I don't think we'll ever reach that.
My second question is, do you think the AI will, as much as a percentage as the internet will be about advertising, or do you think it will be
Yeah. Can you rephrase, redo your question? Yeah. Right.
It's internet and has lots of possibilities.
Mhm.
Turned out to be a huge percent of internet is used for advertising, selling products. So AI is coming up. Will it be the same?
Will it be the same about what?
That most of the resources of AI will be used for advertising or selling products.
It is right now. Google is using it, Facebook is using it, TikTok is using it for advertisement. But this is, like I said, very narrow AI. It's nothing like the AGI we were talking about. Did I answer your question? I feel that I didn't answer your question.
I question how will help say the human race, which is most of the energy in AI is going to be selling stuff.
How is it going to help the human race? It's
I mean, what percentage of the current web?
I saw one time I saw a percentage, but it might be wrong.
Right.
Because
Because there's a lot of stuff happening. So
in order to for a specific area to be to grow, it has to have either a very commercial impact or military impact. So it right now it has both. So I don't think it will help people. A byproduct will help people, will help the human race, not the main goal.
you mentioned empathy,
Mhm.
but
Oh, we are talking about AGIs now.
yeah.
Okay. Then I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry.
That we were talking about
Mhm.
empathy, but we use product mostly for something that isn't related to empathy.
Yeah, but if we create a mini human, it doesn't matter because we are not going to use a mini human for advertisement, or maybe we could. I never thought about that. Modern slavery.
No, I think Tristan Herons calls this out that we're transitioning from this kind of engagement kind of race that we're having like the last 10 years, and now we're going to enter this kind of synthetic relationships, and I think that's going to be the new thing where these tools, the natural language, whether it's words or images or sounds or whatever, they're going to start manipulating our engagement with these new species, and I think that's where I think he's right, just on Harris is right in terms of that synthetic relationships that we're creating, and not so much kind of the marketing or the advertising per se, but the deep relationships that we could be creating in the near future.
Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I was triggered by your suspicion of the regulators, who are people who are screaming for regulation.
Mm-hmm.
It seems apparent that the speed of their calling for regulation is probably parallel with their business model. So what do you think is behind that, and what sort of large-scale commercializations projects do you see emerging in the short term?
You mean
regulation?
You mean about the petition or the?
Elon Musk, all these people are asking for regulation.
The thing is,
suspicious, and you're saying that's because they also have an agenda. And
yeah.
so if the regulation helps their business model, what is that business model do you think they're trying to regulate?
Yeah, the thing about I don't know their specific agenda, but I've seen that they want to start their own products. I've seen they starting their own companies. I've seen that they cannot catch up right now. So I suspect that that's why they ask for regulation in order to stop the progress, so they can catch up and maybe surpass them. So it's basically competition. There's nothing more.
Because a lot of companies are doing the same thing for less money, and they want to somehow.
Because OpenAI has a huge advantage because they have the biggest product, which is ChatGPT, in the field, and because the open source community is working on top of that and making their own products, so it's very, very democratized right now. So they don't want that, basically. Yes?
That's also a bit septic, I think, because, or cynical, to think about that.
I'm a very cynical person.
No, because, well, could also raise some concerns, of course, and I think they were mentioning it in the letter you were mentioning, also, that could have a big impact on, for example, fake news, right? So content that is produced via AI engines, and well, it could have strong effects on political issues.
They can right now. I don't think there is a way to regulate that, because I personally could pretend to be anyone else 10 years ago. So now it's even more advanced. I can be really the person if I want to. So I don't think it's easy to regulate how humans interact and how humans can be malicious. So, yeah, I think I'm very skeptical and very cynical about that, but I see money behind it.
Because you don't really see a solution for topics like this or problems.
There is none right now. There could be. I'm open to it, but there is none right now.
I had a question about AI and its impact on jobs and employment. Like, you hear a lot about people being scared that AI will take away jobs. What's your view on that?
Yeah, it's mixed, because I think people who know, we discussed it with Lon before, but I think people who really know their field, for example, if you are a developer and you really, really know the development, how it's done, how you're really good at it, I think you will have a huge advantage over everyone. Even if you don't understand Python, but you know how to develop a program. That's the advantage you will get right now. The person who knows specific things will be redundant, I think. Instead of knowledge, it's going to be brains. I cannot find a good quote for that. Yes.
Kind of personal question, because you mentioned your production app.
Yeah.
How many models do you have running in the production?
I have 2 neural networks that are working for recommendations, and I'm developing my own model, large language model, to replace ChatGPT because I don't want to rely on other companies.
Do you run this in like a separate server and your users hit it directly, or do you have some like way to mitigate users hitting your GPT?
Well, what do you mean?
So can I use your app and run up a big build for you very easily, or do you have some way in the middle to stop me from like overusing your API key?
I don't. But my app is not live yet, so I can change that. Yeah. I think we are up. But if we have one more last question. No. I think my time is up.
Great. I think the ruling is that lunch is served or dinner served?
We will be back.